Hi guys, my name is Edgar Martinez. I hope all of you guys have doing really good, and I'm here to present my persuasive speech. So to kick it off, I would like to kick it off with a question. So what is the first thing that comes to mind when you see these two straws? Perhaps save the turtles? If so, that is correct. We as humans are destroying our oceans and are endangering our marine wildlife, and we have to do something about it before it is too late. Over 1 million marine animals die every single year due to plastic debris, and we are the ones responsible for that. I would like to encourage everybody watching this video to take action not only to save our turtles, but to also save our whole marine wildlife and our beautiful oceans. We can all do this by acknowledging the issue, rethinking the way we produce and consume, and overall just doing our part. It's as simple as that. Going back to the first point, is always understanding the problem. Plastic seems pretty harmless, right? Well, let me tell you right now that it is not. We don't stop to think about where all of this goes, and that is selfish from us, and our marine wildlife is immensely affected by this. We never think about where our McDonald's meals go or where our waste is going, and that is really something poor from us, from our part. According to Condor Ferries, which is a website from the UK, they show a table with the top countries polluting to oceans, and the US is currently on the 12th place worldwide. But even though we're not the top country in the world, this does not take away from the issue or the importance, and I'll explain exactly why. Animals sadly mistaken plastic in the oceans as their food source, and this is tragic. According to cleanwater.org, over 267 species have been impacted by plastic pollution, 86% of them being sea turtles, 44% being seabird species, and overall 43% of the whole marine species is being affected. Plastic pollution is not a joke, and all these species are dying in many different ways. Some get tangled, die because of suffocation, ingestion, infection, organ failure, and countless many other horrible things. One of the main food sources of sea turtles is jellyfish, and they look a lot like plastic bags, like very similar, and they sometimes mistaken them for them and end up eating them and end up dying, which is really sad. The second most affected species is seabirds, and because also they mistaken the plastic debris and waste as fish eggs, and when they even pass it off to their offspring, that sadly leads to organ failure, and they all die, which is absolutely horrible. If that's not convincing enough, let me tell you about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is located right between Hawaii and California, and it is one of the largest areas where all of our plastic debris and waste actually end up. Just to emphasize how big this patch really is, it is twice the size of Texas. Now just think about that. Texas is huge. Like, just to put into perspective, like, that is how much plastic is just like chilling there, and that is horrible. Just sit down and think about that. That is huge, and it is sad to say that we caused all of that. We must come together as a community and change our habits for our oceans. This leads me to my next point, which is rethinking the way we produce and consume. So according to a video by the United Nations Development Program, otherwise known as the UNDP, up to 20 million tons of plastic goes into our oceans every single year. That is almost 7 pounds per person each year. Like, that is absolutely crazy. Fertilizers and other chemicals are another form of pollution that are really damaging our planet, and they cause dead zones, which just kill off our marine wildlife. Mercury, oil, and many, like countless other pollutants are introduced into the ocean every single year in devastating amounts, alarming amounts. So just to kind of follow that idea, an estimated 22 billion water bottles are used in the US every single year, and it is shocking to see how many of those actually end up in the ocean. One empty bottle such as this one weighs about 0.02 pounds, and just to blow your mind a little, let me tell you that there is currently over 500 million pounds of water bottles living in our ocean. So you can put it into perspective. 50 of those bottles actually equal 1 pound. So if there is 500 million pounds of water bottles, just think about it. Like, that is just crazy. Now, that is just water bottles we're talking about. Don't even get me started on plastic bags, aluminum cans, because over 100 billion of them actually live in the ocean as well, which which is something very poor from us. As an article by conserveturtles.org, we have to become educated to solve our marine pollution, and we must rethink the way we produce and consume, because if we don't, many species will go extinct, including turtles, within the next 20 years. Imagine, like, the next 20 years sounds like you might think of it like as a lot, but it really isn't. And for us to say goodbye to turtles because of us, that's really bad. So now that leads me to my third point, which is it is time to act. We have to do something. All of the previous statistics might sound so terrifying, but let me tell you, it is not too late to make a change. It all starts with you and the things we implement into our everyday lives. It's as simple as something we have heard our entire lives: reduce, reuse, and recycle. As simple as that. The first thing we can focus on is reducing. As an example of this, instead of using water bottles, you can turn into alternatives such as this one, which is like a reusable cup, or you can also use a hydro flask. Like, if you knew me, if you saw me like during the campus, like this was always I did not go anywhere without this. Like, this was my go-to, because I don't really like using water bottles. I get how they're sometimes better, but if we do use them, we have to dispose of them properly, which I'll get into later. But yeah, we should really look more into like hydro flask or other alternatives, because we can just refill them whenever we want, and we should reuse them rather than just wasting. And that applies not only to water bottles, but to everything else. The next alternative we can implement will be to reuse. For example, say no to plastic. Next time you go to a grocery store, say no to plastic and use like an organic bag, or you just take your own bag. Like, don't use the plastic ones from there, because if you don't have to, you should really try to help the environment. Another very popular example of that, like I mentioned, is the straws. So, like I showed you, if we can avoid straws, we should. But if you absolutely have to, if you need a straw, there's other alternatives like I showed you, like this one, a metal straw. There's bamboo straws. There's glass straws. There's other alternatives, and they can help our environment a lot more. Last but certainly not least, we should focus on recycling. We need to come together and learn how to dispose of our trash properly, because this is crucial to save our oceans. I know that sometimes we're just lazy and we just throw trash wherever, or we don't dispose of it properly, and that is something really bad that we have to get better on. So something we can do, if we don't want to leave our rooms to dispose our trash properly, we can buy like 2-liter containers and label them like trash and recycling, and trust me, that will make a huge difference. When the time comes to dispose of it, like you're not even gonna like leave your room. They're gonna be there, and when it is time, like that time of the week, to actually dispose them into the right dumps, you just dump them into the right ones, and that'll be it. As simple as that, and trust me, that makes a huge difference. Another thing that it's kind of not related, but it is that I've seen on the news that people are going to the beach and just leaving their face mask like at the beach, like just there, and they don't dispose of them. That trash, well, you know exactly where it's gonna end up. It's gonna end up in the ocean, and that just proves my point that we have to get better. We have to dispose of our trash properly. Please don't forget that. We as human beings, to wrap it all up, we as human beings must open our eyes and see that we are putting in danger our oceans and marine life, and we have to come together and do something. Our oceans are suffering way more than we thought. Like, you saw all the numbers, you saw all the statistics right now, which is absolutely scary. But we must be part of the solution, not the pollution. Remember that. It starts with us implementing better habits into our lives, such as this one, and we can save our beautiful ocean. And like I said earlier, change starts with you. Don't forget that. And you start today. Thank you so much for hearing me out, and have a great day. Bye.